Hey YouTube, Brian LCS. Thanks for stopping by the channel and this video, a comic book community tag. So I was tagged by Mr. Comic Bookworm Naman to do a comic book noob video. Not sure why he picked the hashtag noob, but it's a 10 question video to try to get to know me a little bit better. So when he tagged me and I watched his video answering these questions, I thought it was a great idea. I know I've seen Metarog, Roger do this video as well. And so I figured, why not? Let's jump in, answer these questions, and you guys can get to know me a little bit better. I mean, who doesn't want to know me better? I mean, right? So, Naman, thank you for this tag. Thank you for this idea. So let's jump in. The first question is, when did you start a comic, or why did you start a comic book channel? So it was a combination of things. I got back into collecting during COVID. A lot of free time, was working from home. I had my collection of books that I had from the 80s. And so, started going through them and started to see what some of the value of them were, and decided to sell some of those books. And then shortly after starting to sell those books, I went back to an LCS, and then kind of got back into the picking up books on a weekly basis. And once I did that, I figured, well, I went to YouTube. I was watching some content on YouTube, and the fact that I was buying books and selling books and picking up new comic book day books, I said, well, I can make a video channel too. And so that's really how it started. Call me a COVID channel, because it certainly had some additional free time, time at home that kind of sparked the interest back in comic books. All right, let's go to question number 2. What are some of the fun and unique things you can bring to the comic book community? Well, I mean, I do a lot of similar things that other people do on YouTube, and I think a lot of us do that, right? We fall into the new comic book day hauls or unboxings, reviews. I happen to be doing comic book reviews, but I think unique things, obviously for me, is the Comic Book Community Awards, something that I had come up with and started 3 years ago. We're actually coming into our 4th year for the Comic Book Community Awards. So I think that is certainly unique on my part. And I think my live stream, my Breakfast with Brian, it's a Saturday morning show that we do, and hang out with the community. And I have a pretty good following. I'm pretty amazed at how that has grown. It's just kind of that Saturday morning time slot fit well for my schedule. And there was nobody else going live at that time. So I thought it would, I wasn't conflicting with any other community member. So I think those are really the 2 unique things that I kind of bring. The live stream when nobody else is live streaming, and the Comic Book Community Awards. So question number 3, what are you most excited about for this new what are you most excited about for this new channel? Well, it's not really a new channel. It's 3 years old at this point, almost 3 years old. I think April is kind of my 3-year anniversary. So, I mean, I'm just really excited about the community, making friends through YouTube, and now meeting a number of those folks in real life has been great. I've met Reggie Collects, Comics with Bueller, Southpaw Brad, Tylox the Mighty, Comic Journey. And I know I'm going to forget people, but Mark, Legion of Comics, the Comic Viking. Just so many great people in the community. And so I'm really looking forward to Heroes Con 2024, where I can meet a big chunk of the community, because I know a number of them are planning to attend that. So, and hopefully Naman will be there as well. So get to meet him in person for the first time. Question 4. When is the first ever comic book you got, purchased, and read? I actually don't really remember the first book. I would always pick up reading material. Typically as a kid, we would go on a summer vacation, driving somewhere. We'd go camping. And so I always remember picking up books. Mad Magazine, I used to always pick up Mad Magazine for those trips, and would pick up some comic books. And I lived close as a kid to a 7-Eleven that had comic books on the magazine rack. I'm trying to remember if they had a spinner rack. They may have had a spinner rack at one point. So when I got old enough, I could ride my bike to the 7-Eleven. It wasn't that far, and so I could pick up books then. Or if my dad took me to the 7-Eleven, or sometimes we'd go with one of my friends in the neighborhood. His dad would take us, and I'd always pick up comic books. So I'm pretty sure it was a Spider-Man book at probably the 7-Eleven. I don't exactly remember, like I said, the exact book, but I do, have those memories of that 7-Eleven, picking up books there, and always picking up books before vacation. So, question 5: what kind of comic books do you like to collect, read? So I'm a big Spider-Man guy. I've always been a Spider-Man guy. He's been my superhero of choice since I was a young kid, 4 years old. And there was that connection with him because of living in Long Island, in New York, not that far from Queens, where Spider-Man, grew up, and then New York City, him, watching over New York City. And so as a young boy, that was a connection with me. Like, wow, he lives close to me. I could go into the city and see him. And my parents supported it as well. My love for Spider-Man. I remember my mom taking me to a breakfast one time with Spider-Man. My dad took me to a toy store, Play World, which was a Northeast a toy store that was a competitor with Toys R Us, to see a Spider-Man, in costume there one time. And so I think having supportive parents really kind of drove the love for Spider-Man. But he's my main guy, but I like to read. I read Batman. I read Superman. I like to know about the other characters within the universes. Marvel Team Up used to be one of my favorite books to read because I got a Spider-Man and then some other characters, so got to learn about some other characters. So, question 6: have you ever speculated on a comic book? If not, why not? If so, what was your speculation book and why? I have. I don't know if it's just like a single book, but I have purchased a few collections over the years. When I first got back into collecting, I really wasn't collecting, I was selling books. And I picked up a couple collections that I purchased. I think I found one from eBay, one from Craigslist, and there were some big dollar books in there. One of the books that I found in the last collection I purchased was the Clone Wars #1, the first appearance of Ahsoka. And I think I paid $450 for this entire collection. It was 10 or 12 short boxes, a few long boxes, and I think some old Dell books as well. And I pulled out the Clone Wars #1, got it, I sent it into CGC, didn't get it clean and pressed, and it came back a 9.6. I ended up selling that book for about $1,450. So more than paid for the collection that I purchased, and then some. And I'm kind of kicking myself a little bit, because I wish I would have got it cleaned and pressed. I wish I would have held on to that book and maybe not sold it. But who knows? Maybe I'll have it back in my collection at some point. But so yeah, I definitely consider myself. Well, I don't consider myself a speculator. Like, I'm not. You're not coming to my channel for news on which books to pick up because they're going to have spec value in the future. But I'm certainly, I'm of the mindset that if I can let the hobby, help fund itself, I'm all for that for sure. All right, question 7: do you collect slabs, raw, or both? Why and why not? Yeah, so I collect a little bit of both. I mainly buy books raw, but I have purchased slabs. I have sent in some books to CGC. I like the idea of thinking about my collection long term. If my children inherit it at some point in the future, I think having books slab will make things a lot easier for somebody who maybe wants to sell the collection. So, um, I think of that. But I also then think of my wallet right now. Sometimes it's cheaper or more cost effective to pick up raw books. So, yeah, a little bit of both for me. Question number 8: have you ever traded comic books If not, why? And if so, who was your first trade? So yeah, I've traded a few times now. I traded my first trade was with Uncanny D-Man, David. He had some Spider-Man books, and he was looking for some particular books, Batman, I think the first appearance of the Dinobots in Transformers. And so I had a few of the books in the collection, and we worked out a trade. And so we actually did. I'm pretty sure I have a video of that. I've done a trade with Otaku tour guide. I have done a trade with Trev, the shipping guru. He sent me some Spider-Man books. I sent him some Dr. Aphra books. So yeah, I think that is a great way to add to your PC, and maybe send some books off that you don't really want to collect or need. So it's a great way, a cost-effective way to be able to move some books around. So definitely, yeah, big fan of the trade. Question 9: do you collect golden, silver, bronze, copper, modern, or all, or some combo? Why or why not? Yeah, I mean, I do collect modern. I'm picking up books regularly every week. So, certainly a modern collector, but I am trying to go back and pick up some of the other, copper age. I grew up born in the 70s, but really started collecting in the 80s. So the copper age books, definitely trying to pick up some of those books, and definitely want to go back and pick up some silver age books. I mean, Spider-Man started in the silver age, right, in the 60s. So definitely we'll certainly pick up some of those books over time. And then certainly would like to add some golden age books, because you look at some of the artwork in those painted covers, four color covers, just some classic artwork and covers. So I do have, I think, a golden age or two in the collection that maybe was a-okay to me, but certainly would like to pick up some more of those in the future, to add to the PC and the overall history of collecting. So. And all right, so question number 10, which is the final question. Tell us about your first comic book and your first personal story tied to it. Well, I think I kind of told you that already. Like I said, I don't exactly remember the first book ever, but it was certainly a Spider-Man book. And like I said, I had that connection with Spider-Man growing up in near proximity of Queens, New York, and New York City, and that was my connection with him. He just, I was a Batman fan and still am, but I used to watch the Adam West Batman on reruns, and so Batman was probably my first introduction to superheroes. But when I became aware of Spider-Man, he had me hooked. Spider-Man was my guy. And again, because I think of the history of it, that I grew up, like I said, near Queens, and that whole history with it. So, but yeah, and like I said, I have very supportive mom and dad, who took me to places to see Spider-Man, in person, and used to take me to the comic. We had a local comic book shop. We used to, my dad would drive me there, or my mom sometimes on the weekends. We'd go to the mall, and then I'd go over to the local comic shop that I used to go to was close to a big shopping mall. So my mom would go to the mall, I'd go to the comic book shop, and so yeah, I think that was really kind of important, as a kid, having supportive parents supporting the comic book collecting hobby. But I also had a number of friends. I had 2 or 3 good friends through high school and that collected as well, and so we shared stories. We would trade books, and we would talk about the book. So that was I think unique, because I know a lot of people have said in the community that they didn't have a lot of people that they shared the love of comic books with. So I was certainly lucky from that standpoint, having parents, supportive parents about comic books and superheroes, and having some friends that were interested in comic books as well. So, but that's it. I made it through the 10 questions. Naman, thank you for this. Hopefully that if you're watching this, you get to know a little bit more about me and my collecting. But yeah, I really appreciate it. Now, I'm not going to tag anybody, but I'm going to leave it as an open tag. If you'd like to take these 10 questions, they're down in the description. I'll have them, you can cut and paste them and make your own video, and then use the hashtag. I think it's I will have it in the description. I'm not sure what Naman named it, but as I'm recording this, but that's it. I appreciate you watching this. It's probably a long video. Let me know down in the comments if there's any other questions or any other things you'd like to know about my collecting habit or history. But yeah, I appreciate you watching, and hopefully you'll make a video of this, one of these videos for yourself, and definitely like to check it out. So thanks again, Naman, for the tag, and check out all the questions and links down in the comments, in the description, not comments. Leave me a comment, but check out the description. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon. Hey YouTube, Brian LCS. Thanks for stopping by the channel. And this video, a little comic book community tag. This is a tag from Mr. Mr.